November 12th, 2022. It was a Saturday, and on the campus of the University of Idaho in Moscow, it was game day. The Vandals, as they're known, would be playing a football game. Before the game, Kaylee Gonsalves' friend Kayla had a get-together at her apartment, just in front of that now infamous house on King Road.
They came over like around noon, and we were all just like having fun, talking, socializing.
Does your mind go back to that day?
Yeah, I always like replay like the conversations that I had with like Kaylee and Xana. She was talking to me and another friend about something stupid, and like she brought up my random like cooking videos and just talking about like how much she loved them and how she thought it was so funny. Yeah.
You carry that around with you even now? That was the last time you talked to her?
Mm-hmm.
Later that night, around 9 p.m., Kaylee posted a series of photos on her Instagram account, including this now famous photo of the 5 King Road residents along with Xana's boyfriend, Ethan. In what would be the last social media post of her young life, Kaylee wrote, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day." In the photo were Kaylee and her lifelong best friend, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. 2 more roommates filled out the frame, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. That Saturday night, all had plans. Ethan and Xana were attending a party at the nearby Sigma Chi fraternity house. Kaylee and Maddie went to hang out at the Corner Club in downtown Moscow, arriving sometime after 10 p.m. 3.5 hours later, around 1:30 a.m., the 2 women left the bar together, walked a couple of blocks to a place called Grub Truck, and got some food, as you could see in this video. Kaylee's father, Steve, and mother, Christy.
It just kills me knowing that they were about to walk into what they walked into. They had no idea what was about to happen.
At precisely 1:49 a.m., one of the women called for a young fraternity member who'd been assigned to help drive home upperclassmen and women to make sure they arrived safely. A ride of a little more than a mile. They arrived at the house on King Road at 1:56 a.m.
Kaylee and Maddie were doing everything right that night. They were together. They had a safe ride home. They weren't out there,
coming back from a club, doing any risky behavior, out on dates. There was nothing.
Roommate Xana and her boyfriend Ethan were already back from their party, and by 2 a.m. all 6, including roommates Dylan and Bethany, were safely home, but not yet asleep. In fact, starting at 2:26 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie made a total of 10 phone calls to Kaylee's former boyfriend. What no one knew at the time was that just across the border in Pullman, police later revealed, a cell phone clicked off, or into airplane mode. The cell phone linked to Brian Kohlberger. The time, 2:47 a.m. 6 minutes later, traffic cameras caught a white Elantra approaching an intersection in Pullman. Police aren't releasing that video to us, but we know that car got on the highway to Moscow.
Hey, Moscow police, come back here.
Where at around that same time, Moscow police were answering a call, ironically just a couple of blocks from where Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan were, so close you could actually see the house on King Road.
How old are you guys?
This was the scene on an officer's body cam.
Taking out 21?
The officers investigated an alcohol-related offense.
Citation here, you put the rest of your information on here, but that's all your information.
And minutes after those officers left, that white Hyundai Elantra, having police say been driven on that highway from Pullman to Moscow, appeared at this intersection, less than 2 miles from the house on King Road. At 3:29 a.m., police say, there was the first of several sightings of the white Elantra in the area of King Road. Greg Cooper believes that for the man behind the wheel, the dress rehearsals were over.
This individual has the knife. He's capable, not just capable, but prepared. He's committed this crime numerous times in his mind.
At 4:04 a.m., investigators say, video showed the white Elantra make its final turn onto King Road. It was the darkest dead of night, a time, said Dr. Gary Brucato, that is significant.
When something is done in the dark, when people are supposed to be sleeping, there's more of a sense of control over them. They're caught off guard, they're totally ambushed. But I think on a deeper level, what we want to understand is that the psychology of an individual who can commit an offense like this is precisely the type to not want somebody to see them. The darkness and all of that is used almost as a kind of a costume.
The stage was set. Some would die. Some would live, thankfully. But why? And what could possibly explain that one frightened witness in the hallway, who apparently saw the killer up close and yet said nothing? It was just after 4 a.m., a house a block off campus on a street called King Road. An intruder was about to cross the threshold. He had a knife, and inside the home were 6 innocent students.
You really get a sense of someone who went in there like it was D-Day.
Investigators believe the killer entered the home through a sliding glass door on the 2nd floor and quickly climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, to the bedrooms where Maddie and Kaylee slept.
I certainly believe that's where he commits his first crimes, upstairs. So he knows where they are, and he starts there.
We don't know which one was his first victim or his target, what Dr. Brucato calls the prototype. Retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
I believe strongly, and always have, that he had a particular victim, and that was either Kaylee Gonsalves or Madison Mogan.
What would make them targets?
Well, they were beautiful, vivacious, the life of the party. And they were quite essentially the type of woman he could never have.
We don't know why Kaylee's dog was left unharmed in another bedroom. All we know is that Maddie and Kaylee were stabbed to death with what police say was a large fixed-blade K-bar knife.
I do think that the particular type of weapon that was used in this offense would suggest an individual that wanted to get up close and personal with victims. You imagine a person almost kind of walking around with a box full of hate. Yeah. And, this is the moment at which I'm going to open it. So I think that the blade was chosen as part of a fantasy. I also think a small blade like that might be seen as something of a phallic substitute in an individual who felt that he was inadequate with women.
And then the killer's mistake. Somehow he dropped the knife sheath, exactly like this one, a sheath with a snap. Where investigators say they would later discover touch DNA.
This is pure speculation, but I found myself imagining that if it came from his hands, perhaps in that moment, this glove-wearing, obsessional, insecure guy was able to take the gloves off and experience those offenses purely and fully barehanded.
Why leave the sheath behind? Why would that have happened?
A person can zone out, kind of blip out of reality. That's the kind of person that under a great deal of stress, pumping with adrenaline, you could easily see making a goof up like that because of a little dissociative blip